The average American spends around $50 on a Thanksgiving meal and around 8 hours to actually make it. But if you really want to be cheap and lazy, you could easily make it in just 15 minutes for under $25. But what if you want to take it to the other extreme by hand harvesting all of your own ingredients? Well, let's find out. Let's start with the infamous cranberry sauce that no Thanksgiving would be complete without. So the first stop is the cranberry capital of the world, Warrens, Wisconsin. It was amazing seeing these vast fields of cranberries this close, so I decided to take a closer look and get some of my own. After nearly losing my glasses in the cranberry bog, I thought maybe I'd let the professionals handle this one. To make harvesting easier, the cranberry bogs are flooded above the vines and the berries are dislodged. The berries float to the surface and are corralled together at the end of the field. The workers then wade into the flooded bog and use rakes to help guide the cranberries into a tube that then pumps them into the hopper. Through the use of water jets and a high-powered fan, the hopper separates the berries from extra leaves and sticks and other debris that end up getting sucked up too. Once separated, the berries get sent out to the trail truck. After that very up-close and personal experience, I have the cranberries. But before I can make the sauce, I'll also need a sweetener. So next, let's head to the Red River Valley near Fargo, North Dakota. So Minnesota is the largest sugar beet producer in the US, and if you go to any store here in Minnesota, any white sugar you get is probably from the sugar beet. And behind me, you'll see one of the factories where they turn sugar beets into white sugar. It's a pretty good one. Big old beet. After a long drive to Fargo, picked up a few sugar beets. So now, just gotta start cutting them up. Once chopped, I julienne them into smaller bits, so they would have lots of surface area. Then I added them to boiling water to extract the sugar. Now that we've strained it, just need to boil it down until it turns into a thick syrup. Now that I have the sugar and cranberries, I can make the cranberry sauce by combining them and bringing them to a boil. Just gotta pour it out and let it chill, and it'll turn into the sauce. Our next dish is stuffing, which will first need some flour to make the bread.
Acorns, they're really greatly abundant. Our oaks are all across North America. It's a great nutrition source. It's a great source of food. I like to process my acorns with the end result to make acorn flour for the added plant proteins and as a great carbohydrate.
Is it basically equivalent to wheat flour?
Very different to wheat flour. So wheat flour has the gluten. The acorn flour, of course, is a nut flour. You have to compensate and adjust your quantities if you want it to be leavened or that sort of thing.
So I've collected some acorns. What's the next step now to turn into the flour?
So gathered the acorns. This is my trusty nutcracker. So we'll just want to go ahead and crack open the nuts and separate out the nut meats. Those can be easily separated out using the end of your vegetable peeler. The leaching process, using water to leach the tannins out, will help extract the bitter flavors. Because if you don't, and just eat them raw, you can go ahead and give them a taste.
That's bitter.
Bitter, astringent, drying, and really quite tannic, and you're not going to really end up swallowing it. The next step is grinding to process them up into flour, and you can easily do, several quarts of dried nut meats using a coffee grinder.
Smells nutty. Thanks to Lisa's guidance, I now had my acorn flour to use to make bread for my stuffing. Next, get some milk and butter and mix them together and bake it for the bread. Now that I have the bread, just need to let it dry out, chop it up, and we'll turn it into stuffing. That's really good. Then grow some mushrooms and herbs for a little extra flavor. I just need to mix everything together with a little bit of butter. All right, and now we have the acorn bread stuffing. For the last side dish, grow some potatoes and then mash them. Last and most importantly, the turkey.
Turkey hunts are always adventures. You never know quite what's going to go on. It's never guaranteed. Turkeys are very, very tricky birds to hunt. We've stalked them, we've crawled up on them, we've sat in blinds, any number of ways. If turkeys are in the woods somewhere, we've selected a place that looks like they've been coming through, and hopefully one during the course of your adventure will get there. So you're going to have to be as stealth as possible. Any extra movements and things are to your disadvantage, and you need to shoot them in the head. See if something happens, and then you got to be really patient. Don't fall asleep. You don't see much with the eyes closed. And then it'll be just good luck.
Got him.
He'll be a dandy one in the oven. Now we got to process him.
Yeah, I've done a chicken before.
Well, this is just a really big chicken.
Smells like burnt hair.
Yeah.
All right, so I got the last ingredient for my Thanksgiving dinner. So I'm glad I actually ended up with a turkey and Thanksgiving was saved. Let's go cook the turkey.
So what does it take to make this entirely from scratch Thanksgiving dinner? It took over 30 hours of labor with $600 in expenses, putting the value of the Thanksgiving meal to over $800. But how's it taste?
Well, let's dig in.